Start recording. Okay, so I believe we're set up. Here we go. We need to sync up. We're trying to do a stream and a YouTube video creation all at the same time. So we're experimenting with a few things. We're going to test all this stuff out and see how it comes out the other end. For the record, this cord, this is for the lav mic, right? You can see. And it's, I mean, this is, am I gonna run this to the other side of the universe? Why does this need to be that long? Like, this is designed for plugging in, some quick device. I'll tell you this much: I'll be investing in wireless lav mics moving forward because this is a little crazy. But the point here is to gather as many audio sources. So this is preliminary training for videography, right? I'm trying to expand our horizons a little bit. And one of those tools that I need to be capable of is gathering multiple video sources, multiple audio sources, and then blending all these things together to make a final video. But it's one thing that I've learned is I need to record all this stuff. But this cable management's obnoxious, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. I don't know how I'm going to handle that as I try to demonstrate these moves. But we're going to give it a go. So that's all plugged in. Let's this button and record. Okay, I do believe that's going. I hope that continues to record with it closed. If not, we're going to find out. So now we need an audio sync. All right. So welcome to Barbell Method. My name's Patrick. Today, we're going to talk about the top 5 stretches you should be doing as a video gamer. As a gamer, these are the top 5 stretches you should be doing. And if you're just simply a desk warrior, you should also be doing these stretches. So we call them stretches. Personally, I like to refer to them as body maintenance techniques. So with these techniques, there are tools that could help with the process and make it a little bit easier. Today, specifically, one tool that we will be incorporating is the foam roller. If you don't have one of these, we can get one on Amazon. I got the little shorty. You can get the long one too. The small versus large is kind of personal preference. There are pros and cons to both for sure. This is essentially the size of like a softball if you're looking for something relative, but it's very hard. Okay, and this is what we're going to use in a little bit as well. This is called the Nova. It comes from MWAD. I believe they're available on roguefitness.com. The standard black foam roller, and that's just specks of crap. That's not really speckles of color, but this is on Amazon, right? And then this is just a 3/4 inch PVC stick. You could also use a broom or any other type of stick that would allow you to do some mobilizing. This isn't necessarily on the list of top 5. This is going to be a bonus, but I would almost say I like this one a little better. I provide this other stretch for the chest so that we can try to do as much of this as we can without any tools. So if you don't have a foam roller, right, our adaptation is going to be maybe a wine bottle or a liquor bottle, something hard. I mean, you could get away with a beer bottle, maybe, and that's kind of small. The other option then would be, if you see behind me here, we got this chair. Which way do I need to go? This way? You can actually, if you have like a long couch where you can lay long across your couch, and then you can actually arch, like we would arch up and over this example, probably arch going that way. And you'll see, I'm going to show you how to use this, but you can replicate what I'm going to teach you to do with this on your couch. So you don't have to buy this. And there's other ways we can DIY and find a way to work around it, purchasing this if that's a problem. I understand money is money. So there's workaround for that. This guy here, softball equivalent, could work. We could use the handle of a kettlebell. Not as amazing, but we can get some of the same work accomplished. I like this because it tends to function a little better. If we imagine the concept of using like a rolling pin for baking, where we're going to roll out some dough, this allows us to fully compress the psoas and roll the entire thing while we implement our breath work. So it's an amazing tool that allows us some additional capacity. Can we achieve some similar results with other devices? Sure. One of those being a kettlebell. You can try be laying on a kettlebell. You could try inverting yourself where you're laying on your back, which would be the opposite of the way I'm going to show you today. And you could use like a lacrosse ball or a baseball in tandem with something heavy like a kettlebell or a dumbbell, that you could then use that to compress that object down into your gut to get to the psoas, and then again implement the breathing techniques. So we have options here. The first stretch that everyone who is gaming or working at a desk for a living or sitting for long periods of time needs to do is arching over the foam roller. This is going to help us reestablish our back extension so that we're not hunched over like this. Because a few things that we need to understand about what's happening here is that our body is super intelligent, which is why as humans, we exist all over the planet in different elevations and climates and whatever, because we're so adaptable. Our bodies will literally reconfigure its DNA to accommodate the environment. Furthermore, science has also shown us that our perception of the environment can either accelerate or slow down that adaptation. So things to consider. Our bodies are super intelligent. So if I spend a whole lot of time in this position, my body's going to say, well, how can I do that more efficiently? What can I do to make sitting for long periods of time in that position require less energy and less work, right? Well, a few things that happen is we can turn some muscles off. We can allow some muscles to get a lot longer. We can allow other tissues to get shorter, right? In this particular example, what we're referencing is the chest, right? We fall into this position, so we lose that back extension. We're here, the head falls forward. For every inch you go forward, it's like another 10 pounds of weight hinging, shearing on your cervical spine. Not a good thing, right? That then activates our upper traps because they're holding on like ropes trying to pull your head back so it's not falling too far forward. So then we get this upper trap tension combined with the chest shortening and the chest tension, which rolls our shoulders in here and then deactivates our musculature here between the scapulas and just below the scapulas. The bulk of our back meat kind of just gets turned off so that we can accommodate that sloped forward falling position. So then our objective is to try to bring the chin back through retraction, chin retraction, right here, and then think about someone pulling a string through the top of our head and really lengthen our body up. But you can still see I'm here and I'm forward, right? So there's a few things happening. People get hinged tight here and here. So you're looking at this, right? So even if I even if I try to stand up straight, okay, I'm standing up straight. Now you look at me from the front, I'm still hinged up here because my upper trap's tight. So we need to loosen that up so that our lats will let go, or our traps will let go so that we can allow the collarbones to fall. And then we need to open up the chest so that we can get adequate scapular retraction and depression in a standing or seating position. While you're sitting, when we're in this position where our hip is closing off at our torso, we are essentially removing our glute muscle's ability to stabilize the lower spine. So then that job defaults to your psoas muscle, which is tied into your hip flexor and your quads, which could generate knee pain, among other things. but it gets very tight because it's doing all the work trying to erect your spine and keep you sitting up straight. So even though I'm about to provide 5 things that you can do to start clearing this up, fixing it, you have to understand it's what you're doing that's causing the problem. And if you've been doing that thing for 20 years, what's an adequate amount of time for you to get back to where you should be? 20 years? Maybe half the time? Let's be realistic about that. Let's be aware that it's changing what's causing the issue, first and foremost, and then addressing what negative impacts that thing had on our body. So there's going to be daily body maintenance. This is going to be an ongoing process. It's not a once and done. It's not get to a goal and then I'm over it. This is a byproduct of your life that's going to continue to manifest, and you need to know the proper techniques to deal with it, and you need to have the proper tools to help you with those techniques. Now, obviously, there's workarounds like we discussed, but we understand it's coming from here, the sitting, right? The gaming, the working, it's the sitting down, and this is how I fix it, right? Moving forward, we can mitigate some of the damage that's happening by transitioning to a standing position. Doing a standing desk setup, ideal. Or at the worst case, if you have a higher topped table that you can set your computer on and try to get your computer up to eye level, try to get your the angle between your elbow and your arm to be rested at 90 degrees. Same thing. If I have to sit, try to make this at a 90. Ideally, you sit with your legs folded, right? By sitting in a way where you can, externally rotate your hip, right? The folded leg position that'll allow you to sit with a good posture and externally rotate the hip to generate stabilization through the hip socket, which will allow the glutes to contribute to stabilizing the lower back, right? Again, eliminating that back pain and the upper back stuff that we talked about a few minutes ago. So let's get into it. The first thing we're going to do is arching over the foam roller. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to initiate the movement by putting my hands over my head. I'm going to roll back and forth. I'm going to roll basically from mid spine up to my neck. And I'm just loosening that up. And with an overhead position, that's just dropping my scaps into the correct position, right? After I go back and forth about 5 times, I'm going to rest the foam roller laterally just below where my scapulas are, right? So as soon as I feel it kind of like getting to the bottom edge of my scapulas, I'm going to stop right there. Sorry, not below, but right at the bottom edge. I don't want to come off the scap, but on the bottom edge. So it's still kind of pinned down, forcing it to stay flat on my back, right? That's the relationship that your scap should have between your back and your rib cage. How am I going to do this? So if this is my rib cage, and my face and my chest is over here. These are my back muscles. My rib cage would be arched, something like that. Your scap kind of floats like this. And if you're super hunched with bad posture, right? You get that rounding you just saw on my back, like that. The scap then can't rotate and manipulate itself properly as you move your arm through overhead ranges of motion, right? Which if you're moving an external load like CrossFit or Olympic weightlifting or anything else in your life, and you do that enough times with bad form at a fast pace, quantified by load, injury, right? That's what happens. That's how we break. So this is how we're going to work on it. Bottom tip of the scapula. And then I'm going to focus on using my abdominals to pull my ribs down. And then I'm going to let my chin retract back and just fall back and try to reestablish the extension in my upper back. You can see as that corrects. I will warn you, it's very painful. You're going to feel some tension pulling through here. You might feel some tension in the back of the neck. Your body is not going to enjoy this, and you're probably not either. But that means you're doing it right, right? So focus on breath. Focus on identifying the tension and then releasing it. Try to relax into that position. I find that breathe a big breath in, followed by an exhale and driving deeper into that helps you. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't fight and get super tight on your neck, right? When we're done, we're going to bring our hands around the back of our neck, pull our head up, get some tension, and then we're going to either rotate left or we're going to rotate right to come out of the position. Don't try to sit up, okay? You're going to counter everything that we just tried to let go and loose. But the objective here is set a timer before you lay down, 2 minutes minimum. Obviously, if you can do 3, 4, 5, whatever, better. But 2 minutes minimum, that's the minimum to achieve effective soft tissue movement. And go to work, go to your happy place and breathe, okay? So here goes the demonstration. I'll try to move this over. I don't know if this is going to affect your guys' quality. I'm recording separate audio for the YouTube video later, so those guys shouldn't be impacted. But I'll try to mitigate this as much as I can by moving the mic down a little further. Okay, so we're going to start this out sitting down on the roller like so. Hands overhead, just like I described here. Back and forth maybe 5 times. Once I get to the bottom of the scaps, I'm going to set my hips down. I'm going to bring my arms down. Now I'm going to use my core to bring my ribs down. And now the fun begins. Retract the chin. Just let this relax. Again, you might start feeling it through here. Start feeling it pull through your shoulder, down through your bicep. Feel like you're slipping off the roller. Just slide up a little bit. Get yourself back centered. Just relax. Try to release. Try to stop resisting where the tension is. Big breath in. Exhale. Exhale and get deeper into the stretch. Flex the abs. Pull ribs down, ribs down, ribs down. Big breath in. Exhale, relax down. We keep working like this for the full 2 minutes. Once we get to our 2 minutes, it's time to come up. Hands in the back of the head. Pull the head up. Relax for a second. Pick a side. Rotate to that side. And then get up. We do that to protect ourselves from getting a little too tight coming out of what we were just trying to loosen up. We don't want to trigger some like crazy cramp reaction, right? From here, we're going to move into a chest stretch on the floor. So it's going to look like so. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down in this fashion, and I'm going to imagine trying to reach this part of my shoulder, make this gap as large as possible by reaching out my arm as far as I can. And then I'm going to try to pull and drag my body away from it as I counter by pressing on the floor and twisting my body away to get a big stretch through my chest and my anterior delt here, the front of your shoulder, right? Maybe even into your bicep. The key here is being mindful of your shoulder rotation, okay? So if I have you, hey, the Fonz, right? And I have you fond your thumb to the left, right? I'm on my left hand, left or out, turn your arm out, point your thumb out versus point your thumb in, right? Into the body is internal rotation, right? So if my shoulder is internally rotated in that position, you'll see I'm shrugged up in my upper trap, which is the position we're trying to get away from. This is very likely going to happen as you attempt to drive off the floor and achieve the stretch here. So be mindful. Is my shoulder starting to roll forward? If it is, back off, reestablish external rotation, right? Turning the thumb to the outside, external rotation, and then reapply the stretch. And you just keep working 2 minutes each side. So here goes a demonstration on that. So we're going to just lay down face first. Let's make sure we got it good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach my arm out real far. Then I'm going to kind of walk myself away. I'm looking for, make sure my shoulder's not internally rotated. I'm externally rotating the shoulder. Then I'm going to slowly just push off the floor, drive. If you can get this leg over. Really start twisting and open up your body. You can put a yoga block down here. That'll help you as well to drive up and get more into that stretch. Again, being mindful, if my shoulder's rolling in, I need to reestablish external rotation and then restart the stretch. From there, we're going to go into dolphin push-ups. These are very, very good. If you're someone like me who has spent many, many years and many, many hours on a computer, you might have that winged scapula thing that everybody talks about. That's a combination of stuff that what I'm showing you is going to fix. So The dolphin push-ups look like this. It's essentially a push-up. We're going to start with kind of achieving this like triangle diamond shaped, and we're going to try to basically drive our elbows up and over our head into this position, right? But we're going to use the floor to do it. You can enhance this by getting your feet up on top of like a chair or something to really try to get your hips up and over your shoulders. I'm not amazing at it, so don't judge me too harshly because I'm working on this too. But you should be able to get your hips stacked out over top of, so like if this is my legs, right? This is my hip crease, and then my torso and my arms going down to the floor. You should be able to attain that position with your hips and your butt out stacked over top of this. Yeah. I'm not that flexible. I'm working on it as well, but this is what it looks like. We're going to start on the floor, and I'll show you how you can click your feet up, right? So I'm just going to put myself in position right here so I can use the chair if I need it. But basically, I'm going for this position, right? Then I'm going to drive up into the overhead. Boom. If I want more, I go up on this. I get more, right? Wherever that more is. I don't want to spend too much time talking like that because you can't hear me. But you get the concept. And the idea is that you rotate in back to from this position. Then you rotate your butt up into that position, right? Back down, back up, right? And maybe we're doing 3 sets of 5, 3 sets of 6, 3 sets of 10. You know, obviously you want to hook yourself up with a good coach that will lay all that stuff out for you so you know what the magic sets and reps are. But simply just adding that in every day, static holds, right? Do one as long as you can, or do sets and reps, right? Dolphin push-ups. The next is hip flexor. For this, I like to use the Spider-Man lunge because it's easy to do for everybody, and you can do it anywhere. And if you do it right, you can hit multiple things at the same time. For example, we can hit our hip flexor. We can get a little adductor, some high hamstring where it inserts into the glute. We can kind of stretch that a little bit. We can get some T-spine flexion in there. There's a lot we can do with this position. But there is a little more aggressive, more accelerated version as well. We'll get into that another time. I'm going to show you this one here because it's the most applicable, and it's the one of the most broadly applicable for most people. So this is called the Spider-Man lunge, and we're going to work in a few different things. So we get into this lunge position like you normally would. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive my knee back. I'm going to let this foot go long, driving it back, and then you can leave your foot far out so that you're achieving like a 90 degree with your shin, which is perpendicular to the floor. And you'll notice that I get a lot more in my hip. But if you walk your front foot back, allowing you to transition your knee forward, kind of like you would in the bottom of a squat, right? Where now my hips open, bottom of the squat, my foot's laying flat. Sorry, you guys are kind of getting a little bit of picture here. So the foot's flexed and long. Foot's flexed and long, right? I'm bringing the front leg back. I'm driving. I'm squeezing my butt cheeks, and I'm pushing myself forward, right? I'm pushing out on this leg, and I'm trying to loosen up deep in my hip socket here, trying to establish some space for my torso to be down here, right? I can enhance that by then trying to take my torso, get down in that position, right? I'm getting a big stretch down in here, right? I'm getting a big stretch right here in my hip, right? I'm working this 2 minutes, okay? We want to take it up a notch. We can add in rotations under, rotations up, and I'm driving down through the floor, and I'm reaching, really trying to press and spread myself out, right? I'm reaching through this window created here by the floor, my torso, and my arm. Reach through the window, and reach up toward the ceiling while I drive through the floor. That adds in some T-spine rotational components to that entire stretch. So it's a very multifaceted tool. Again, 2 minutes each side, minimum duration to achieve soft tissue movement. So the last thing would be the supernova work or the softball work, right? Ideally, anything that's real hard, I don't want this to break on you, right? And again, there are some slight modifications to this. If we want to do that, we can talk about it. But we're going to use this to hit the psoas, which is going to run on either side of your body here. Which way do I gotta go? This way. And it's going to go down and into your hips. And our objective is to basically start just below the rib. We're going to compress and we're going to keep it compressed as we work down all the way through here. Okay. Kind of like the T-spine extension over the foam roller. This is not going to feel good. Probably not going to enjoy it, but your body's going to love you for it afterwards. Note, do not do this before a weight training session, right? If you're a barbell lifter, right? If you're an Olympic weightlifter, Olympic weightlifter, CrossFitter, power lifter, etc. Do not do this before your barbell sessions, okay? It's going to turn off a lot of the mechanical stuff you need to stabilize your core, generate internal pressure for external loads, and maintain low back stability through squats, etc. So if you do, like if you're someone who trains in the evening and you want to do this first thing in the morning, that's fine. Give yourself a 4 to 6 hour window to kind of bounce back from it. But if you do a true release, this could be in itself 10 to 15 minutes each side. So you're talking about 20 to 30 minutes of work here just doing your psoas. But this is super, super important for anybody that's a gamer or anybody that's sitting at a desk for a long period of time or anybody sitting for a long period of time. This is very, very important. Probably the number one thing everyone should be doing every day. Ideally, do it at the end of your day before, as like part of your cool down routine, heading to bed, as it really has a way of putting you to sleep. It really kind of relaxes you and shuts you down. But it's going to be some work. So the idea here is, like I said, starting below the rib, we're going to work our way down all the way to the end as it gets past the hip crease into this lower hip area. So I'll probably get the ball down to maybe like right in here. Same thing, right? We're going to follow it all the way through to the bottom. And as we're working, I'm going to basically take a big breath, hold it. I'm going to move around. I'm going to find it. And you're going to know because it's going to hurt. You're going to go, oh, there it is. And you're going to lay all your air out and you're going to decompress over the Nova. And then after you got full deep, you're going to blow all the way out. All the way. And as it gets out, hold again on the other end and keep working until you need to breathe again. And as soon as you're like, oh, I can't keep holding it, I need oxygen. Big breath again, all the way to the top. Hold it. And then move around a little bit more. Move around, find the spot that's the tightest. And then all the air out again. Work it. And in this process, we're going to do 3 to 5 reps in each spot that's super tight and wound up. The idea here is that compressing tissue should not generate you pain, right? If it's generating pain, it's because it's wound up and it's tight and you've got some body maintenance to do, right? So if you're on this thing and you're like, holy mother, then you should have been doing this like your whole life. So starting today, every day, ideally at the end of your day, if it's at the beginning, make sure it's 4 hours or so before a training session because it will jack your stuff up. It'll shut your core down. You won't be able to squat effectively or deadlift effectively. Or you'll be able to, but you'll have to do considerably lighter weights because you'll lack the ability to stabilize your hip structure and your low back. So caution for weight trainers, don't use it before your workout. Do it after you work out. Everyone else would be okay to do it basically whenever is convenient for you. I suggest you do it at the end of the day because it's a great way to kind of cool yourself down. If you are not an athletic barbell trainer of sorts, then I would recommend twice a day. Like if you're just someone who wakes up, works from home, goes back to bed, do this in the morning before you sit all day and then do it again in the evening. Ideally, you ratify your habits and instead of sitting all day, you stand all day. Okay. There are people who do hard manual labor for 15, 16 hours straight, 5 days a week. There is no reason you cannot stand and push buttons on a computer for 8 hours and then sit for your 15-minute break and sit for your lunch break. Okay. Don't sit all day. Stand up. There's so many things you can do while you're standing to help mitigate some of this body maintenance we have to do after the fact. We'll do that in another video. Maybe we'll make that like the top 5 things you can do with a standing desk, right? Because there's some pretty cool stuff you can do to really keep yourself healthy and start feeling better, where you're basically getting paid, but you're working on yourself and doing your body maintenance at the same time. So last thing on the list, psoas. Here's how it works. We're going to get ourselves down on the floor, just like this. Ball's going to start underneath the rib. Personally, I like to kind of sit up just like this. I'll find my first spot, take a big breath. Moving around, finding that tight spot. Oh, there it is. Holding, working. Where is it? Right there. Working. Rolling around. Where's that tight spot? Oh, there it is. Exhale. Relaxing over the ball. Right? And we continue this process, working 3 to 5 breaths, each spot of tension from below the rib all the way down through the hip. It should take you about 10 to 15 minutes each side. But if you do these top 5 things every day, before and after the sitting that you're going to do, and then in addition to adjusting your lifestyle so that the things that are causing all these pains and ailments and states of hypertension are mitigated, that will drastically improve how quickly you're going to see results and how permanently they stay, right? So these are the top 5 stretches: arching over foam roller, doing the chest stretch off the floor, doing the dolphin push-ups, whether in sets and reps, or just straight up static holds, working your hip flexors using the Spider-Man lunge, and then incorporating some movement of the front foot to help either include or not include your adductors of that leg, in addition to the hip flexor that's being stretched, and further working in the T-spine mobilization by doing the pass-throughs and the reaches for the ceiling. Wrapping all that up with the psoas work using the Nova or a kettlebell, or, if you're interested in any of these other variations that I mentioned throughout this video or this stream, please shoot me a DM, or I'm not really sure how they do it here, but contact me. I've got a website, barbellmethod.com. I got Instagram, Barbell Method, @BarbellMethod. Email me, text me, any questions you have, any videos you'd like to see, or any further explanations you do or don't want, let me know so we can talk about it. But that's what I've got for you today. That's been the top 5 stretches that all gamers and desk warriors should be doing on the regular. Thanks for stopping by. My name's Patrick, and this is the Barbell Method.